So just wait to confirm this is on. Okay. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We are just going to get started in a few minutes. I'm just going to switch over to my slides. Okay, so if this is your first time joining us, I just want to point out the chat bar on the right-hand side. If you have any questions or technical issues along the way, just type in that chat box and let us know. Okay, so I'll get on with the presentation. I think let me just see how many people are on so far. Yeah, it looks like we are live. Okay, so just an overview of the agenda we're going to be covering today. So I'll do an introduction on who we are, or who ODX is, and our mission. Then we'll get into the presentation with ThinkData and Thomson Reuters. Afterwards, we'll have an open question session, and then closing remarks. So my name is Tyler Jakes. I am the Community Manager and Market Analyst here at ODX. Also serve as the Data Concierge, which I'll get into a little bit later. So if you haven't heard about ODX, we are a private-public partnership. We're focused on data innovation and the commercialization of open data. We have partners such as Desire to Learn, University of Waterloo, OpenText, Communitech, and CDMN, who provide us with in-kind funding, which is then matched by the government. So that's essentially how we're funded. We work with organizations in various industries as well as government to identify issues with open data that can drive economic growth. We provide tools, services, and resources to help companies add value to their businesses through the use of open data. And just as a side note, we recently moved into a new office at the Communitech Data Hub, which is in Uptown Waterloo. So if you're ever in the KW area, definitely stop by and say hello. One of my roles here at ODX is the Data Concierge. And essentially what I do is I help companies find and use open data. And in situations where data isn't open, I work with different levels of the government to make it open. That's ODX in a nutshell. What I'll do now is pass it over to Lewis. And as I mentioned, I'll be monitoring the chat, so if there's any issues that come up along the way, just let me know. So just bear with me for a second while I change it over. And 1 second, Okay, Lewis, I think it's over to you now.
All right, I'd just like to make sure that everyone can see me before I start talking too much. Getting any response? Okay, I guess I'm showing.
Would someone be able to chat in the chat just to make sure we can see that it's working?
Hopefully you're seeing the first slide, which says ThinkData and Thomson Reuters. In the meantime, I can start explaining who I am. My name is Lewis Wynne-Jones. I am the head of data acquisition for ThinkData, and one of the first things I did here was to bring down all of the open data portals from the United States and Canada into our Namara platform. So I'm intimately familiar with open data, but I think today we're going to talk a little bit about sort of public and external data, which is casting a little bit of a wider net.
Hey, Lewis, I
yeah.
just on your on a document rather than your slide deck. I'm not sure if you're aware.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
That's great.
Okay. Technical difficulties, you can't get away from them. Let me just, I might see that now. Thank you for. All right. Apologize for that. I think we should have the right one now. Confirmation, Tyler?
Yeah, we can see you. Sorry, I just have.
Yep. Okay.
Now, I haven't
Okay,
had
great.
anything in the chat yet. I just want to confirm that people can see us and hear us. Would someone be able to type in the chat? Okay, we have a confirmation that someone can hear us and see us.
At least one person can see us and hear us. Wonderful. All right, after all those technical difficulties, I think we're good to go.
Yeah, this is our first time presenting on YouTube, so of course there will be some. Thank you for confirming.
All right, so external data is a really newly available resource. It's not a new resource, but it is now currently available in a way that it can be leveraged effectively. These are data sources that exist outside of an organization's environment, but can, if used properly, address problems that they're trying to solve internally. So in short, external data can add significant value when integrated with existing internal information. The goal of this presentation is to talk about how new feeds of data can be turned into actionable insight. So the problem with external data is that it's external. That's putting it really simply, but the thing is, external data is by its very definition different from the data that's created by or already used by an organization. It's difficult to control. I mean, this means that it comes in different shapes and sizes, which makes connecting to it in a standardized way very difficult. The current belief is that the way to deal with external data is to process it in the same way that you process internal data. Unfortunately, since the source is not owned by the organization, it's difficult to control even the most basic things about the data, like format and structure, which means that trying to get it to speak to your internal processes can be like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. And you'll see the image on the left-hand side, that's sort of the traditional way of approaching external data management, is just to dump it directly into your data lake, which can really muddy the waters. What we do at ThinkData is deploy a normalization layer that deals with the formatting, standardization, enrichment, and ultimately merging of any number of data sets from any number of data sources, which ultimately gives organizations the opportunity to access clean, standard data on demand, which really optimizes usage. Standardized data is incredibly valuable to an organization. Since data is at the forefront of new business models, it's critical for organizations to start using it effectively and get access to it in ways that don't make the core systems of the enterprise go completely haywire. When we work with banks, which is just an example, we generally hear from four main departments. We hear from commercial banking, capital markets, retail banking, and wealth management. And they have sort of four questions. One, I want to identify new businesses. Two, I want to track tradable activity. Three, I want people and their location. And finally, I want a list of high-value prospects. Each of these departments think that the problems they're trying to answer is unique to their particular use case. But the fact of the matter is that the answers to these questions and others is fueled by the same sources of data. The data may be sourced from different places. In fact, it generally is. But if a standard is driven enterprise-wide, it becomes possible to find answers to all of these questions and more with a centralized repository of information. Okay, so this can be slightly difficult to visualize, so I'm going to walk through a case study which will hopefully make more sense. So let's say you start with one data set, which is a standard business directory, which gives us the location of a business. And that's the location both in terms of lat-long coordinates, so you can plot it on a map, but also the address. It also might give you telephone, like a single point of contact. But then if you look at another data source, like Canadian company capabilities, you'll see the operating name, which might be different from the business name. You can find out a little bit more about the industry sector or subsector that they're in. Some more ways to contact them, so website, email, and then a little bit of information about the company itself, so the year it was established, the number of employees they have, whether or not they're exporting, how much they're exporting, and on and on. It gives you a better, more contoured vision of what you're looking at. And then add on to that one more data set, a corporate directory, which might have the corporation type, the jurisdiction, which might be different from where the offices are, and then some information like event types, so mergers and acquisitions and the details of that event, plus director names and where they are. So by joining all these data sources together, you gain a much better data set than any of the ones that we started out with. Together, these data sources provide a very rich and granular source of information, which in this case pertain to individual companies. If you review the questions that were asked by each department, you can see that they're answered by the data pulled from different public databases. This identifies new businesses, absolutely. It tracks tradable activity because you can see mergers and acquisitions. It identifies people and trends, and it generates new leads. This is just an example, but it's the beginning for many companies. Once we have an individual company record, it becomes possible to append any number of data sets to it and constantly enrich it with new valuable data, from what government contracts the business is winning to who they're purchasing, and on and on. And in order to do that, it's very important to have a kind of stable, unique identifier for a business, a person, or a thing, which I think Thomson Reuters can talk a little bit more about.
We'll just pass it over in a second to Lena.
Okay. Okay, hi everyone. I should. Okay. Hi everyone. Sorry for that. It's just two computers turning on together. So my name is Luna. I'm a data scientist from Thomson Reuters labs in Waterloo region. Thanks, Luis, to give us the introduction of how external data can nourish your business. I'm going to, as Luis mentioned, external data comes in different sizes and shapes. In order to link data together and make full use of it, we need to answer 3 questions. So the first one is, how can we recognize entities from different data sources? Here the entities I mean, for example, a person, an organization, or an instrument or a code, especially in the financial industry. The second question we want to answer is, how can we map your proprietary environment into external data source? That way you can link your data to the external data. The third question we want to answer is, how can we extract meaningful entities from unstructured data? So the unstructured data can be plain text, let's say news articles or social network feeds. In order to address those 3 questions, Thomson Reuters introduced the Open PermID, which stands for Open Permanent Identifiers, which uniquely identifies objects in Thomson Reuters information model. So the unique ID, the Open PermID, is very similar to every employee has a unique employee ID, or every student has a unique student ID. The only difference is the PermID is used for identifying a person, an organization, an instrument, or code. By doing so, you can easily access a person, an organization, or instrument and code by its own unique identifier. Then you can use the PermID to link identities from different data sources. So which means even you have different data sets, but the entities, they are the same and they have the unique PermID. Then you can use that to link different data sets together. Later on, I'm going to show you a short demo how to use PermID to find the entities PermID and how to use PermID to link your record to the external record. And also I'm going to show you how to extract entities within PermIDs from unstructured data set. So overall, the PermID uniquely identifies objects in Thomson Reuters information model, and this is the core of the content ecosystem. And the existence of the PermID can make your data integration much easier and cheaper. Lucy, if you can go to your next slide. Thank you. So we've addressed the first two questions. So we can find the entities PermID, and we can link different data sources by using the PermID. And now we are going to answer the third question: how can we find entities from unstructured data sets? This means, imagine you are sitting behind a computer reading news articles or government filings, going on social media to capture the trends and try to predict the risk or alpha signals based on what you read and your own experience. This is very important, but can we make the whole process much easier and faster and make it more, like bring your business to a higher level? The answer is yes, by using the OpenCalais. So which means we can using OpenCalais to do intelligent tagging on those unstructured text. And by using the intelligent tagging, we can instantly find the entities from every kind of document using natural language processing and create semantic metadata for the content PermID. So it can return the facts and events hidden behind the text to help you make decisions. So let's take a closer look at how does it work in the next slide. So imagine you have different kinds of unstructured text, for example, RSS feed, blog post, tweets, or news articles. What you need to do is you just give the text to the intelligent tagging and click tag it. It will immediately find the complaints, people's, events, relationships, topics, or locations within the text. And the good thing is, all of the entities that find within the text is paired with the PermID. Then you can use the PermID to find more information for each of the entity. And the even better thing is, Luis, can you go to your next slide? Thank you. So the even better thing is, the ecosystem is linked together. So we use PermID to link a lot of our platforms with PermID, for example, the Thomson Reuters icon or the data scope. All the entities from those platforms are using PermID to link it back to the unstructured data set. So you can also use PermID to link your proprietary platform to the unstructured, to the intelligent tagging, and also link it to our platforms. Now I'm going to give you a short demo to show you how do we use PermID to find the record of something you're interested in. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay. So, sorry, first time using the streaming. Okay, so this is the interface you can use PermID. For example, if we are interested in an organization called Reitmans, which is a Canadian company, and if you type Reitman, it will find PermID for this company, Reitmans Canada, and the URI here is a PermID. And if you click into the PermID, you can find more detailed information related to this organization. So this means for each of the organization, a person, you just need to give it a name, and it will find the matched PermID for this entity and return all the details related to this entity. So let's say if you have your own record, you want to find more information for the one you have. What you need to do is you just need to upload your file. For example, I have a file. I will open it here. So for example, you have your own record related to this company. You only have the name of the company, you know the country, you know the street and the city. But what if you want to know more about this organization? what you need to do is you just need to upload your own record and click match. It will go to the database and find the matched entity. And it tells you we find one match. And then we can download the matched files and open to see what other things we find. Now you see we can find its PermID related based on what you input. And then we can use this PermID to find more information to this organization and add those more information back to your own data set. And the next demo I'm going to show you is how to use the intelligent tagging. So I just go to the website and I find news articles related to this complaint. As you can see here, what you need to do is just copy these paragraphs of text and put it into the tagging and click tag it. So it will tag all the important entities from this unstructured text. So you can see in this text it mentioned it is a retail power center. It is a apparel specialty chain, and it also mentioned other complaints that is mentioned in this text, which you can think of maybe related to this entity. And this is related to e-commerce and so on. And the thing I mentioned is for each of the tagging, it has the PermID. So you can go inside the PermID to find more information. So this is a way to let the machine understand what is behind the text, and using PermID to find the entities within the text to add more information, add external data to your own database. So this is my overall demo. And
if, before we move on, if there's any questions for Luna, feel free to ask. We'll wait just a second because I know there's about a 30-second delay on this. So any questions, just feel to put them in chat, and we'll take like a 30-second delay to answer. Okay, so it's Tyler again. So that pretty much concludes the presentation. Are there any questions for myself about ODX, or for Thomson Reuters, or for ThinkData Works? Please put them in the chat. Like I mentioned, there's a little bit of a delay, so we'll wait for a second to get them. I'm just going to share and go back to the ODX slides. And just, let me just go back. Just in case I forgot to mention who's here with us, we have Amir, who's a senior data scientist at Thomson Reuters, Luna, who's also a data scientist, and Lewis, who's head of data acquisition. So first I have to flip back just to see the chat section, but feel free to ask any questions, whether it be about ODX and what we do, or the systems that Thomson Reuters and ThinkData Works has. Sitting here for now.
Hi everyone, this is Amir. I just wanted to mention, as Luna said, that everything that you saw here and today, it's all available. It is free. You just need to log on to our page and try it for yourself. And there are APIs that you can use to send queries using Python or Java or your favorite language.
And we do have a question that came through.
Yeah.
So let me just
So
move
there
over
is
to
a
it.
question from Christine. How do you connect the data back to our database, for example? So like if you have your own record, you have some information related to an entity like the one I showed. You have the location of the company, but you don't know other information. So what you need to do is you just upload your record and it will find the matched entity with their PermID. And then you can go inside the PermID to get more information. For example, who is the CEO of this company and what is the stock price for this company. And those information is related to the entity. So related to what you are matching for. And then you can link all of those data back to your original database to enrich the content of your database. I hope I answer your question. And do I answer your question?
Okay. So if there are any other questions, I'll just wait a second for the delay. Okay, so I think that seems like all the questions. If there are any, feel free to ask them, and I'll go back over to the chat screen in a minute. So that concludes the Q&A questions. So after the webinar, I'll send out an email just with a quick survey. If you have time, it would be awesome if you could fill it out. It helps us with future webinars. Also, we'll give you a link for how to access the recording of this webinar, which I believe is just on YouTube. For information on what's going on in the open data world, definitely recommend that you check out Open Government Digest. The link is right here, ogpproductions.org/opengovdigest. Also, ODX has a thing called the Open Data 150, where we're talking to countries in open data and trying to figure out how they're using it, what industries they're in, just to give us a better idea of the open data landscape in Canada. So if you are a company that uses open data, please take some time to fill out that survey. It definitely helps us, as well as the government, for planning and that sort of thing. So that's at canada.opendata500.com. And definitely stay in touch with ODX. We're here to help. And as I mentioned, as the data concierge, we offer a free service where if you're looking for a specific open data set, you can reach out to me and I will help you find it. And if it isn't open already, I can work with the government to get it open. So check us out on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook. We have a presence there. So thanks again for joining us. We're going to be doing these once every month to 6 weeks. The next one we're looking at May 23rd, but we'll send out some more information about that in the next couple weeks. But yeah, thanks again for joining us. Apologize for the little technical difficulties. This was our first time using YouTube, but hopefully it was a good experience for everyone who joined us. Thanks so much. That concludes the broadcast. Oh wait, hold on. There's a question. Okay, I'm just gonna turn off this screen sharing so it's not so messy. Okay, so a question from Matt Charters. So is the data provided by Thomson Reuters as part of the Perm? Second, my thing's cut off. Oh no, I think the question just disappeared. Just give it a second. Oh, here we go. Okay, they're coming through again. Okay, so is the data provided by Thomson Reuters as part of the PermID DB universe degrees for a person, for example, let me just move this window over. For example, is it open data as well? Can we use the data in our own databases or applications?
Yeah, so everything I showed here is, you can get access to it. Just search permid.org, and then you can play around what I showed before. So you can get access to what you can get access on the website. Yes, so it includes part of the database way being published, so you can get access to it.
And you can download parts of the data, or you can send queries to the database depending on what you want to do. And of course there is a limitation for the free version, but if you need more than that, you talk to us and we will help you solve that.
Okay. Perfect. Matt, does that answer your question? Perfect. Okay, that dang delay. Okay, thanks again, everyone, for joining us. If there's any questions that you have that you didn't have a chance to ask, feel free to send us an email. We'd be happy to answer. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll hopefully see you again in about a month.
Where do I find information?
Yeah.
On API limits.
Another
It's
question
all
for
on the
Matt.
webpage, permid.org. If you go there, you will see. I think, Luna, do you remember the limit? It is, I think, 1,000 or 5,000 queries per day.
Yeah, there is a limit, but you can find the exact information on the website. I can type it for you.
Yeah, go for it.
So you can go to permid.org. And then you can get access to what I showed before. And also, I think if you go to developer community, you can find the API, how to use the API to get access to it.
Yeah, everything is online. Just go to that web page. You have all the information that you need.
Perfect. Thanks so much, everybody. See you again soon.